Hey everyone, this is City Council Rewind for the meetings that happened on Tuesday, December 19th, and we are joined by Vice Mayor Christi Gillespie. Vice Mayor, final meeting of 2023, final regular meetings of 2023, but you all took it a step further and convened a special meeting. What was that all about?
We wanted, it's the last meeting, so we needed to have two in one night.
That's right.
It's the end of 2023. And so we talked about our citizen survey that we're going to be putting out regarding our next bond issue that will be happening.
Next bond, I thought that's not till 2028, right?
Well, it would be, but because we have done so well in our city with our last bond, 2018 was the last bond vote that we had, and normally it's a 10-year bond. But because our assessed value has increased and we've actually done really well, even despite 2020, and so we're going to get to go to bond again. No new taxes, everyone.
Really important.
Yes, it is. But we'll get to go to bond again in 2026 and just keep the good things rolling in our city.
So let's talk about this survey. What is the city looking to do with this? What are the citizens going to see with it?
So what we talked about is, with our city, communication is super important, and we want to make sure that our citizens feel like that their input is valuable. And we want to make sure that we're listening to people all over our city. I mean, obviously, I talk about South Broken Arrow all the time because that's where I live. But we want to, and we've done a lot in this, through the last bond and just the last few years. But we want to make sure that we are having projects in all kinds of ways all over our city. So citizens will be able to say, how happy are they with the way things are currently going, and they'll be able to give their opinion on items that are really important to them.
So when is the survey going to be available?
So the survey will be available at the end of January or in January of next year, which is just next month. And then the results will be out April-ish of 2024.
Oh, that's perfect. Online survey?
Yes, online survey. But what I want to make sure is that if you see the survey and you have multiple people in your household, make sure that everyone in the household is completing that survey, because your 18-year-old might not have the same opinion you do about things, or they might have priorities that are more important. I know my husband and I don't have the same priorities about everything in our city, so I want to make sure he's also filling out the survey so all our voices are heard in our community.
That's a really great point about sharing it across your household, especially for those who are going to be 18 at that time anyway.
Right.
So there were other things that you all talked about besides the survey, and one of the things I know you're a big proponent of our streets department and the work that they do to keep our streets maintained and looking really nice, but even more so the work that they do during winter when we get inclement weather that comes in. The council approved $138,000 worth of equipment. Why was this so important to you?
I appreciate our streets team so much, and I don't think ever as much as during the winter. When you leave other cities and come into Broken Arrow, you don't even have to know where the city limits are, because if there's been a snow or ice, our streets get cleaned off super quickly, and it's not by magic. It's because we have city workers out there that are, while we're sitting at home cozy at night, they might be out, working the streets and making sure that our streets are cleaned off, and so that they're safe for you to go to school or to go to work. And so, we appreciate them so much, and it just seems like every single year it gets better and better that we even get it done in a more timely manner.
Well, I tell you, I'm not a snow guy. We were talking about that just before you got here. I'm not a snow guy, so I appreciate the fact that you approved this purchase. I hope that we don't ever have to use them, because I cannot stand snow.
You know what? It's funny. I am not a winter person at all. My husband loves the winter. And of course, I have a Jeep. So we always like an excuse to go out and, pull people out of, if we maybe pull people out, even just on our street sometimes, if they haven't gotten to our street yet, we go around and help people. So that's kind of fun when you have a Jeep.
That's good. If I had a Jeep, maybe I'd like it a little bit more, but no, it's just not my cup of tea.
Yeah.
So there were other things that the council approved. Many other items were on the agenda. The city is working with the city of Bixby on a feasibility study of the infrastructure needed to create a supplemental water connection between the two cities, a design contract for improvements of residential street rehabilitation projects in the Steeplechase Farms and East Houston industrial subdivisions. Finally, there was also a purchase and sales agreement for the 41 acres just north of Events Park. This will be the site of the Sunset Broken Arrow Amphitheater. You can learn more about those items and many others on the city website. All you have to do is click on Agendas and Minutes in the Government section, click on the date range, drop-down list, and then select the governing body. Find the meeting date of your choice and select the meeting details. And that's it for this edition of City Council Rewind. The next meeting is next year, January 2nd.
Everyone, have a very, very Merry Christmas. Enjoy the new year. Have a safe new year, but have lots of fun with your family and friends. See you next year.
Thank you for watching. This is a production of the City of Broken Arrow, the city where opportunity lives.